Good afternoon. This is Laz Jacob with another episode of Running with Laz. Today, my guest is Kerry Hunter. I've met Kerry probably, I don't know, at least 15 years ago, most likely, when he was actually my daughter's cross-country coach at Brunswick High School. And he's still at Brunswick High School. Kerry, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's always good to get good perspectives, especially from coaches. I've never really interviewed a coach. I've been a coach, but it was more along the lines of recreational basketball, not like organized or high school sports or anything like that. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? I've seen you at a number of races yourself, and you're. I'm looking at, Kerry actually participated in the Hermes Road Race Challenge, and, this guy's running 20-minute 5Ks, and he's in my age group, so I'm always, looking at his back, but he's, way, way ahead of me, so.
You know what? I grew up in an athletic family here in Brunswick. I've run I ran cross-country and track in high school. Didn't run in college. Became a teacher, and then cross-country job opened, and so I've been doing Brunswick boys cross-country for 30 years now. This is my 30th year. For girls, I believe it's 26.
Wow.
And I 29 years for track. I work with the distance runners in the track team. So
I bet that time has just flown by, hasn't it?
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's just, and I'll see kids, they'll come back all the time, and I'm like, okay, give me an age group. I know you, but it's like, when did you graduate? Try to figure out, I've had so many kids. It's
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great.
How many kids do you think I know it's hard to put a number on it, but, thousands, I would think.
When I first started coaching back in 87, I was just doing boys, and I think I had probably 15 to 20 boys. In 92, I got both teams, and it was, I don't know, maybe 30, something like that. And this year we had our biggest team. We had 65 kids, boys and girls combined.
For cross country?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
So it was a great year, and we're hoping to have over 70 next year. So I don't know, if you do 20 by 30 years, whatever that comes out to, that's probably about the number of kids I've had.
65 kids running cross country.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
It's fun. It's a good group of kids to have. I always said I wanted 100. But I'm not sure you can handle 100. I've got 2 assistant coaches, but that's over 30 kids per coach, and just trying to keep track of everybody, it's kind of difficult. So we'll see.
Huh. Well, today is February 7th, and to be honest, I think Kerry was out there running today with his cross country team out in the snow. Yeah, I would think.
Yes,
did you kind of stay around the school, or
we try to try to find in the back roads. We want to get on the back roads because the sidewalks obviously are a mess. So we were back behind the high school, behind some of the back roads there, and we put in about 5 miles or so.
Oh, okay. Now, do you have family that runs too?
My brother was multiple time state champion at Brunswick.
Oh, nice.
And
does he still run?
He does not. He coaches out in Virginia, and his boys cross country team were actual national champs this year.
Awesome.
Yeah. So. My dad was a runner later on in life. He became a marathon. He broke 3 hours when he was 52.
Wow.
Yeah, so he just started picking it up as me and my brother were running. He said, "I'm going to start doing that," and so he ended up being pretty good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. I wish I could run like that.
No, I wish
55,
I could too.
so it's like I'm way beyond.
3 hours is never going to be in my realm.
Right. I would be lucky to try to, break 27 minutes, it seems like, for a 5K anymore. So I have I think we were talking a little bit earlier about, my daughter's desire to run a marathon. I mean, Shannon that you coached, and I'm like, she keeps trying to talk me into doing it. I'm like, I just don't know if I have the heart to get out there and do it. You got to have that,
there's no doubt.
You definitely have to have. Well, I guess, depending on, if you really want to run it fast, or if you're there just to finish.
Right.
Because it would be her first marathon, so I always try to tell people when they're doing their first one, no time goal.
Yep.
Because you really don't know what to expect. I mean, a long run is much different than actually running a marathon race.
Definitely. I agree with
and
that.
they do say that hitting the wall at 18 to 20 miles.
Yeah.
Now, the first time I did the marathon, which was actually the toe-to-toe back in 1993. My longest run was like 15 miles, and that I hit the wall probably about 16, and I had another 10 miles to go. I'm like, this is just not going to go well.
That's dreadful.
but I finished, so I'm happy with that.
Right. Yeah.
So how long have you been running? You in particular yourself?
Well, oh man, I was probably ninth grade. I started running cross country, so that was probably 73, 18. Wow. And I've kind of been doing it off and on. When I went to college, I trained for a marathon with one of my roommates, but I just did off and on then. And I really didn't start training again until I got done with my teaching degree and got a job in Brunswick. And when I started coaching cross country again is when I really kind of picked it up. And I trained with the kids forever. And I thought, when I turned about 50, real close to 50, I thought, what the heck? Why am I not racing? Mm-hmm. I'm doing all this training with the kids and stuff. And I just love competition. I mean, I played all the sports when I was growing up, and I love to compete. So it's getting out and racing is just fun, just to compete. It's a whole different. People don't understand that until you get out and actually do it. It's fun. I really enjoy it.
It's probably hard for you to find the time too, though, to do races. And most of them are on, Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and we race on Saturdays a lot of times, so it is difficult. But whenever I can, if I get a Sunday race in, now and then, I probably do maybe 10 races a year. Well, nice. I'll get in and race.
Okay. Are you going to sign up for the Challenge Series again this year, do you think?
I don't think so. You know what? It's like I said, I don't have enough time. I don't get out. It was a struggle to get through. I think you had to go 7 races.
Minimum of 7, to get scored.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was, it was very difficult with everything else I'm doing with the coaching and everything else. And it was very difficult to find time to get 7 races in. So I think I did 7. I think I did right on 7 this year. So
yeah, well, you did very well because I'm looking at the results right now. So you ended up 3rd in your age group with only, it looks like about 8 races. I think that you did. But man, you were like 20 minutes for 5Ks and the River Run half marathon, 1 hour and 30 minutes, 39 minutes. That's great.
You know what? I do a lot of. I train with my kids and I run with them, and whatever they're doing, I kind of do the same thing. I use it because when I start to get tired, I know I'm physically a little bit stronger than most of those kids, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get tired. They need some time off, not off, but I need a couple of easy days in a row. We'll do some fun stuff, maybe just an easy tempo run or something like that, just to cut back a little bit for them. So it's a good thing. When I stop running, I think I'll stop coaching. Because I really feel like I feel how the kids feel, and I can, it helps me when I'm coaching them.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm sure you have all varying types of speed for kids. Because I remember when Shannon ran, they just scored like the first 7 runners.
First 5 score. Yeah, top 7 run varsity. The 5 score, and the 6 and 7 are called displacers. They can beat somebody else from another team and move their score back a little bit. Does everybody start at the same time, or do they do like a staggered start? Like the faster runners are going to actually compete for score. Do they start first, and then the rest of the kids? Well, when we go on the weekends, they'll have what they call a varsity race. You get to run. Nowadays, they're letting 9 run. They'll go with 9 sometimes in some races, but they'll run that group, and then they'll have an open race, which is everybody else. So I have 55 kids in the open race,
right? And
they'll be running against 600-700 kids on a cross country course. It's pretty crazy.
Now, throughout the year, I mean, I guess you pretty much have your set lead runners, but do you have some that like throughout the year may get a little faster and will be in that top top group?
We usually my 5, 6, 7 people change quite regularly. If they run faster in the open race, the next week they're running a varsity race because they beat their time was faster than the kids that ran varsity. So yeah, we have people moving in and out of varsity all the time.
And still distance is 5K?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do they ever do different distance?
No. You know what? When I ran, I ran 2 miles when I was running in high school, and they had actually had a relay race where you had the top 10 kids, but you're not allowed to do those kind of races anymore. So it's kind of frustrating. I like for the kids to be able to do different things, but yeah, it's the same race, same course. Everyone's running the same distance. So
okay. Now, did you have any kids last year that went to like any state meets or anything?
Oh yeah, our girls team, actually, this is the 9th year in a row we went to state. We've gone 9 years in a row now, and I had 2 girls who were all Ohio runners, and actually my number 1 girl got hurt, so she didn't get a chance to be. The year before she was all Ohio, so I think we would have had 3 if she would have stayed healthy. And I had another girl who missed by 3 places of being all Ohio, so it was a good year for us.
Now, your faster kids, where do you normally see their 5K times?
Well, I had 3 girls that ran in the 18s this year.
Is that considered fast?
Yes.
Even for like state level and stuff?
Because 2 girls ran 18:15 and 18:20, and they were 16th and 19th this year. And I had a girl that was 18:33, and she was 27th.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, over the last 10 years, girls have just skyrocketed. I mean, boys' times, since I've been coaching, boys' times have stayed relatively close. I've gotten a little bit faster, but girls have just gone through the roof at how fast they are.
Now, where do you normally see? Because I think when Shannon was running, I remember this kid, Steve Vilt, who used to run, and I thought his times were, I thought I saw him run under 15 one time. Maybe high 14s. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought he was
he may have fast. in one of the faster courses he may have, but at the state meet I think he's 15:27.
Okay.
He might have our record at the state meet 15:27.
Did he win state or
no? He was third. His best year he came in third. Yes.
Now, do you see him at all? Do you keep in contact?
I actually went to his wedding a couple years ago.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So it was and I see those. I'm on Facebook with those guys, and I get to contact with them, and I'll have kids stop back all the time. We have a race next weekend at Kent State, and I'll be coaching. All of a sudden, I'll see a kid just show up that it's comes out of the blue, and it's like it's awesome to have kids come back.
Do you ever have them come back and run the races too?
We have.
Or are they allowed to? I don't know if they're allowed to.
They're not allowed, but we have a scholarship run that we have in the summer, and it started out as a retirement run for me. When I retired from school, my wife had a race and brought all the kids back. We ran down Hinckley Lake. Mm-hmm. We ran a race around Hinckley, and now we're doing it at the high school, and it's a lot of kids will come back and run that run.
How often do you do it?
Every year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, every year. And then
awesome.
we give out a scholarship at the end of the year to just a cross-country runner, a senior, $500 scholarship for the year. So it's kind of nice to give back to those kids because they've worked their butt off for me.
All right. On average, how many kids do you see getting scholarships to go to colleges?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Not a lot,
Is it just because the colleges don't focus on running versus other sports?
Yeah, and you've got to be... to get a scholarship, you've got to be a state qualifier. You've got to be a really good runner. And I've got 2 that are running in college. 2 girls that are running in college now. One's at Case Western Reserve. They don't give scholarships there, but the other one's running from Illinois, which I'm wearing my Illinois cross country shirt. And she's running out of scholarship there, and she's doing really good.
Well, it was funny because I know John Pavlik.
Yes.
His daughter ran for you,
right.
Katie.
Awesome.
She was one of the faster runners too, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw them. I ran, a few times with John, but I've seen him, do some races with him and his dog Ginger, and they did the Christmas Story run, him and Katie, the 10K,
okay.
And he said he normally beats her, but I think she beat him this time, so probably because it was a longer distance. I think at a shorter distance he might.
And that age,
he might beat her.
He's not getting any faster, and she can still get faster at that age.
Yeah.
So
well, he's our age group too, and he's running same times as you are, 20 minutes for 5Ks with his dog.
Right. Ginger's a
I think
stud.
she pulls him along.
Yeah, she's a stud. Katie used to bring her down to the lake when we used to practice down there, and she would run with Ginger around the lake a couple times. So
that's great.
Yeah, it was fun.
So over the years, running or being a cross country coach, what's it like dealing with the parents? How do you, because I did this, and when I was a coach for just recreational basketball, we used to videotape the games and stuff for our kids as they get older, and I would sit there and listen, even to myself, yell at the kids to play harder and to do this. And I was probably because when Sam ran or played soccer, I was probably the worst coach ever. I think she probably hated me a few times. Like you try to get out here and run this distance. So do you and the parents? Some of them parents were great, but other ones were not so great.
You know what? I coached basketball for 10 years at Brunswick also, just 8th grade basketball. And it's a whole different sport. Cross country, all you have to do, look at the watch. Your son or your daughter ran this time, those people are ahead of them. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put them on varsity because they're faster. They've proven it. They run the same course, the same day, the same, there's nothing changed. Where basketball, it's always, parent always thinks their kid is a little bit better, when you get sports like that. But, track and cross country are black and white. The stopwatch tells you the time. Now, I've had parents who've said, well, our kid should run more, or run less, or do more track workout. Or I said, well, you know what? I've been doing this a long time, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, and the training habits and stuff, and you're always going to have somebody that thinks their kids should be better, which is that's a parent.
That's normal.
That's a parent thinking their kid is But like I said, with cross country and track, it's the stopwatch doesn't lie.
Right.
It is what it is, and these are the kids I'm going to go with. They ran the fastest times. They're going to be my varsity kids for that race.
Now I'm sure you get kids that just do it to have something to do, to get out and run, to be in shape. I mean, you got to have somebody that's first, and you got to have somebody that's last. That's just the way it goes. How do you, the kids that are slower, how do you keep them motivated? I know it's hard. I mean, do you get some kids that start off running cross country or on the team and then jump off the team because they don't feel like they're doing well enough? Or I mean, do you run into that, or does everybody pretty much I don't finish it out?
Yeah, I don't get that in cross too much. The kids love it. It's like a family. It really is. I mean, they do spaghetti dinners on Thursday nights, and the kids look forward to that. And they going to somebody's house and eating spaghetti, and they're always after a race they're going to somebody's house and hanging out, and so that group pretty much stays. Once
they get 65 kids that go to a parent's house to eat spaghetti.
Well, no, they'll go boys, girls. So it's 30 and 35 going, but it's still quite a bit. That's why I tell the parents. I said, man, you guys are crazy. I don't think I would do that. But for cross, they usually stick around. Now, when they come to track, it's not, they have to go out and run in weather like this.
Right.
Especially the slower kids. And I get it. I tell them, I understand. You know what? If you don't want to do it, I get it. I said, but year-round training, you've got to do year-round. If you want to be the best you can be, you've got to train year-round. You can't just come for cross-country season for those 5 months and expect to be as good as you can be. Mm-hmm. And I have kids that, they're not going to be the greatest, and I understand that, but we try to, I've got 3 coaches, and we try to, always talk to those kids and let them know that we care. We care about what you're doing. If you're there and you're going to give us good effort, you're going to go to the weight room a couple days a week and lift weights, and you're going to do our hurdle drills for a couple days, and you're going to do those types of things. We're going to care about you. I always do a comment sheet after every race, and I give them their splits, like their first mile was here, your second mile was here, and your finish time. And then I'll give them a 1-sentence comment. Hey, you went out too hard today, or hey, great race. I love the way you finished. Just a sentence or two, so every kid gets a comment, and they know that I've watched their race. I've seen them run, and they get a good feeling for that. If I ever skip a comment sheet day, like Monday's the comment, I bring them out to the kids. They're like, Coach, comment sheets. I said, I know. I was busy Sunday. I couldn't get them done. Right. So because it'll take you 3 or 4 hours to write 65 comments up with all their and I had to sit back and think about races and think about what they did and those types of things. So that way,
do you do the comments, or you got to split them up with your
I do
coach?
Them all.
You do them all.
I do them all. My wife, she knows. What, Sunday you're not going to see me. I'm going to be down in my office writing up comment sheets and doing next week's workout. I've got 65 kids that probably have 6 or 7 different groups doing different things. So it's that way they know, like, okay, I'm not just doing what everyone else is doing. The coach has actually got me a individualized workout that that corresponds with how I'm training and stuff. So
I was going to ask you that. Do you do individual plans for the kids? Because every kid can't run
Right.
the same distance. I mean, maybe the same distance, but not the same, speed. So,
right.
I do see you guys I can't during more of like I think the fall that you guys are out running on, Route 303 and you do different loops or
right.
whatever. So.
Yes. Especially we start out with freshmen. Freshmen will only go so far. I always tell them, their big scare is going to be, I have to run 10 miles. I said, I've never ever made a freshman run 10 miles. There's a certain limit of a distance that I'll have freshmen do, no matter how good they are, how bad they are, whatever. And if they stay healthy, and then in track season we'll go the same amount of miles or minutes. We do a lot of minute running now. And then as they become sophomores, if they stayed healthy, we'll move them up, maybe 5 extra minutes for the run. And then as long as they stay healthy, they'll keep advancing through their through the training schedule.
Now you get to see kids, probably from 9th grade through 12th grade. When they come in as freshmen, do you kind of have a sense of, this kid is probably going to be one of my top runners in 11th grade or 12th grade, and you kind of I guess you probably have to like focus on them and say, hey, I think you're going to be one of the top runners. Here's what you need to do. You need to run like all year round or whatever, but do you also possibly like encourage them to do like during the summertime, encourage them to do races, just local races, or do you kind of steer away from them having do races?
Yeah, I try not to have my kids race so much because I feel like they've only have so many races in their body. We also have a middle school program, so 7th and 8th graders run the middle school. So I get to watch those kids run. So I have an idea of a lot of kids that are coming in, what their levels are. But I've seen kids who have, they would be 6th, 7th, 8th person on their middle school team. By the time they're a senior, they're state qualifier.
Wow.
So it's just, you have a clue when they get to you. You know what they've done a little bit, but you see some kids step up and some kids step down. It's just, body type changes. There's so many different factors in a runner. It's just,
sure.
But it gives me an idea, when I see them in 7th and 8th grade, so I have an idea who they are, what they're capable of, what they've done coming in. But it's a big change from middle school to high school. I mean, you're running farther. Middle school's 2 miles, and you're going to 5K. And we're trying to ask our kids to do a little bit more, and it's just trying to keep the freshmen healthy. That's a big thing. Keep them healthy, and if they're healthy and they get the race, they really seem to enjoy the cross country.
Now, do you have trainers at the school too? Because I had done an interview with Dr. Leo Cormanic, and we kind of talked about that a little bit, especially in the college world and how the smaller colleges don't necessarily have the same training and advice that the larger schools do, and sometimes you tend to see more injuries at those schools because they don't know. Kids going to go out there and run the hardest, and even if they're hurting, they're going to try to get out there and run because that's the only way that they're going to be successful.
Right.
Do you guys have trainers that work with the kids?
We have 2 awesome trainers. Steve and Kara, they work for the Cleveland Clinic, and they come to Brunswick High School every day. And they work with all the sports, not just runners, but they're very knowledgeable. I go to them and ask for them. Like this year, we had a lot of kids, girls especially, with some hip difficulties. So I went to them and tried to get some exercises we can do. So they gave me some bands to work with, to work on the hip strength and stuff like that. But yeah, they're fantastic. I tell my kids, if you have a problem, you got to let me know, obviously, because like you said, kids will try to run through everything.
Oh, yeah.
And pretty
they don't even know they're like it could be a serious injury.
A lot of times I'll be the one who'll say, I'll see them limping or running. It just doesn't look the same as it did a week ago. And hey, what's up? My shin's a little sore, my knee's a little sore. Hey, let's go see Steve or Kara and go on in, and they'll take them in and they'll work with them as much as possible, give them strengthening exercises. And their goal is to get the kids out back to training as soon as possible without, they don't want them injured either, but hey, let's get you going. We want to do what we can in here, and let's get you out and back training again. So they're fantastic. I owe them a lot.
Now, do they volunteer for the school, or does the school actually pay for the service?
Yes,
or how does that work?
The school pays for the services.
Okay.
Yeah, so today I walked in and they probably had 15 kids in their training room today. Basketball players and wrestlers, and some track kids are in there now because we're doing some track stuff. So they're in there, and it's just So yeah, they in the fall they're out by the stadium, and now during the wintertime they're inside the school. They've got a training room inside the school with, probably 6 training tables, and they've got kids on all the training tables, and they've got the balls that they're balance balls and stuff, and they're doing all kind of crazy exercises to keep them healthy. So
I was going to ask you, over the years that you've been coaching, how different is it than it was 30 years ago? Because there's so much focus, it seems like, on, because I remember when I started running, I wasn't doing a lot of stretching or any strength training or core training, any of that stuff that everybody talks about these days. You just went out and ran, right. But now it's the focus is so much on doing all these different things. I mean, do you see more injuries now versus back then? I mean, how do you compare the two?
I probably see more because I have more kids, not because of more. I would say the percentage is probably a little less now, because we do a lot of we go in the weight room 2 or 3 days a week and do weight training. We do 2 days.
Do you normally do the weight training before or after the run?
After the run, yes. We go in, and the kids are in there half hour, 45 minutes lifting. We have about 8 different lifts they do each day, and it varies between Monday and Wednesday. They're doing 8 different, so it's probably 16 different lifts altogether. And then Tuesday and Thursday, we do a lot of hurdle drills. We set up hurdles, and they're stepping over hurdles, work on their hip flexors, and then they do. It's kind of funny because we have agility ladders that we work with, and the football coach saw us, and he goes, "Okay, I see why football players do agility drills, but why do runners do it?" And you want to get that where kids are getting off their feet as quick as possible. A lot of kids that run, they're so long on their feet. It's like they're on their feet, So you want to get that quickness going to get their cadence quicker. And, if the kids stick to what we ask them to do, they stay pretty healthy throughout the year. So
is that the way it's always been? I mean, even when they were, 30 years ago, training, I think, was probably, well, you get on, you ran, but I don't know if it was more focused on, higher mileage back then, because I think the philosophy always was, for you to be faster, you got to run more.
Right.
You got to run more miles. You got to run faster all the time. I mean, is that kind of the way it was back then too? Or is the focus, has your philosophy changed too over that period of time?
Oh, definitely. Oh, there's no doubt. I wish I could have take what I do now and work with some of the kids back then, because I had some state qualifiers back then that I think would have been really, really good. I'm like any distance coach, any teacher. You're a thief. You try to steal ideas from everybody. I'm talking to all different coaches all the time. I'm going to clinics and just getting whatever any information I can get to help my kids get better. And I've changed over the years. It's amazing. The things we do now that we didn't do back then. It's like I said, I wish I knew all this information. I mean, I've been doing it for 30 years, and I changed some stuff this year. I've changed some more. We're doing some different things this year that we didn't do back then. So it definitely changes all the time.
Right.
It's a constant influx of new ideas.
Do the kids still do a lot of stretching? Because I remember from when Shannon was running cross country, and just doing local races, that you see these just people out there, and they do just doing these just crazy stretches before they're going to go out and run a 5K. And I've kind of heard varying opinions on that. You really shouldn't stretch, aggressively stretch before you do a race. You need to do that kind of like after a race to keep keep everything loose. So because when Shannon she ran cross country middle school in Olentangy when we lived in Columbus.
Yes.
And their coach was like, "Oh yeah, you got to do these crazy stretches before you get out and run." And it seemed like there was at least, and they had a small team, so they had 15 runners. It seemed like 3 or 4 of them were injured. I'm not saying it's because of that,
right? We do. When I first started coaching, everything was static stretch, sit down and stretch your hamstrings. We do a lot of active stretching now, skips with arm circles. We do a lot of active stretching where we're not just sitting, we're moving, we're doing a lot of things. After our run, we do a lot of static stuff. We do our static stretching then. We also do through our stretching, we add core workout in there. We do crunches and planks and, you know, some push-ups. So we kind of add, once we get finished with our runs, we do more static stuff. Before, it's more active stretching, you know, active things. And it's funny, we don't rest. Like, we'll do fast intervals, and there's no rest period. You know, the kids are doing, let's say, 4 by 1 mile runs. So they're going out and running a hard mile, and they get 3 minutes rest. And it's 3 minutes active. They got to jog for 3.5 minutes, and they're running another mile again. So, we had one girl a few years ago. She was a sprinter, but she was kind of running the 800, so she was kind of in between my group and in between the sprint group. And she came with us one time. We were doing intervals, and I said, okay, I forget what we're doing, 800s or 600s or something. And I said, okay, when you're done, you got 2 minute active rest where you're jogging. And she went back to her coach and said, Coach, how am I supposed to rest when I'm jogging in between? So that was kind of, but that's the, you know, you need to do those types of things to stay, you know, to stay ready. I tell the kids, you wouldn't believe if you were to stand there and just rest and you try to run again, your muscles are tight. Where if you keep active in between your intervals, you're so much more loose and ready to go. So they get it, and they're, you know, we've been doing that for quite a few years now, and you know, they come in and once they've done it for a few times, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. You know, I'm not going to be as tired, because they think, oh, I'm going to keep running, I'm going to be so tired.
Right.
You're really not. You're not, right. And you can come back and bounce back pretty quickly.
Yeah, you're dead on, because I know when I did out in Strongsville in last March, they have a 1 mile and they have a 5K, but you can sign up for both, because they do the 1 mile first. And man, I did the 1 mile like 2 years in a row now, and I ran the 5K, and my legs just felt dead, like at the beginning of the 5K, and it was probably because I didn't really do much in between.
Right.
There was only like, you know, maybe 20 minutes, depending on how, you know, quick you finish the mile, so 20 minutes to wait. But I probably should have did some walking or, you know, right. whatever, because my legs had, you know, because I get out and ran the 1 mile as fast as I could. Yep. The 1 year, I think I ran it like 6:09, and then ran the 5K, and my 5K time was like 25 minutes, because it was just that much slower. Because I just, you know, and I went all out for the mile, right, so I knew I was going to run a slower. And
everything tightens up, and it's just, especially when you just stand around afterwards, it's like, oh, I got to get going again. It's hard. Yeah,
and I'm older, so I mean, I worry about injuries and stuff. So
you don't recover as fast. I get
that.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now, on average, how many miles do the kids run? Do you try to get them to run? Is right now considered beginning of the training season? So are they running like lower miles?
Yeah, we're training for outdoor right now, and my kids are running. We do a lot of minute running. Mm-hmm. So today we did, I think my long group did 42 minutes. I will try to get them up to about 55 to, and then on Sundays is their long run. Some of them will do 70 minutes on a Sunday. That's one of the things I've changed over the years. Is I used to give them Sundays off all the time, and the more I've researched, the more people I've talked to, it's the more the kids can stay active throughout the year, the more running they can do, some kind of running, the better they're going to be. So we've tried to make Sundays our long days. Rebecca, who's going to Illinois now, she got up to about 55 minutes a day, and then she was running 70 minutes on the weekends, and she had a great year. And
do you have them run like varying speeds during that time?
Yeah, we'll do tempo runs. We'll do, you know, and that includes intervals. If we're doing, you know, our mile repeats or whatever, I'll figure out how long they're going to do their mile and figure out their time, and then I'll know exactly how much warm up and how much cool down they need to do between. So it's a process. It's a long process, but it's you know, it's. I always tell my kids, one good thing about cross country is, you know, you may not be the first, and you may be the last, but you know, you can always compete against yourself.
Sure.
You know, we have their PRs up there, and every Monday, any kid that PRs make a big deal. I read a whole list of kids that PR'd a week, and everybody gives them a clap and, you know, a hand and everything. And we try to make those kids feel comfortable also. You know, wow, I ran a PR, and coach saw it, and all the kids clapped for me, and you know, it's kind of a nice thing for them. So.
Yeah, I mean, they should be proud that they're just out there doing it.
Yep.
You know? So.
Yep.
Now, do you get a lot of participation from the parents, other than spaghetti dinners or whatever? I mean, do most of the parents come to the meets and everything?
Those are. It's always funny. I always say that is our fan base. Our parents are our fan base, because you don't get, you go to the basketball game, you have a cheering section, or a football game has it. We don't get that. Mm-hmm. We don't. We're 9 years in a row. Girls have been at a state meet, and maybe 10 people have come to watch them ever run. Wow. Besides parents,
yeah.
I said, so, you guys, this is your group here. This is, people are cheering you on, your parents and your teammates. That's our family. And that's what you have to go with. And, parents are very, we've got a club, a parents club, and Jackie Gray is my head mom of a parents club, and she does a great job. I mean, we do fundraisers and stuff, because we take the kids on an overnight trip every year. We go down to Columbus and we stay in a hotel and we go out to eat, and that's all paid for by our parents' club and stuff. Oh, nice. So
you don't make them run while they're down there, do you?
Well, we race down there, yeah. We get down there. It's like, okay, we're gonna have practice. We go out and run, whatever we have to do on Friday. Once we drive down on a bus, and then next day we get up and go race. And so that's a fun thing for the kids. They enjoy a chance to go overnight, and we take everybody. 65 kids. It's sometimes right. My wife thinks I'm a little crazy. You're taking 65 kids down to a hotel, and only 3 coaches. It's a little overwhelming sometimes, but
it's interesting, and that's all I've really known was like cross country teams or whatever. But it just seems like those kids are just so focused on running that you don't really get a bad kid here. Not that all kids are bad. I'm not trying to say that, but the kids that are running, they're usually living a pretty good life in terms of not drinking or anything like that. I'm sure some of them do, but it is what it is.
Right.
But they gotta be healthy to be able to run. Hopefully,
If a kid is focused and a kid wants to do well, that's the kind of kid you're going to get.
Right.
And it's cross-country kids do well in school for the most part. Our grade point average, I think the girls were like 3.6 this year out of 36 girls. That's pretty impressive. I always feel that it's not it's a people think you just go out and run. Well, there's way more to it when you're racing.
Oh, sure.
There's so many things going on in your head, and we talk about it with the kids. What were you thinking about it? The 1.5 mile mark when this move happened or that happened. What were you? And it's amazing the stuff that the kids come up with, and they're very, very intelligent group of runners. And it's you get your knuckleheads. I mean, you always do.
You always do.
Every sport's going to have a few of those, but they're few and far between. Most of the kids are I love them all. It's great to have them.
Now, where do you guys compete at? I mean, I'm sure you probably have home meets in Brunswick, I would think.
We do not.
No?
We do not.
So you're always going off somewhere to...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. When I first started coaching, we had dual meets in the middle of the week, and then we had invitationals at the end. Now we've got rid of all dual meets, and we just run invitationals every Saturday. Like I said...
Is that most schools or just...
Yeah, I would say it's getting there.
Okay.
Like I said before, you only have so many races in your body, and if you got to run on a Wednesday and then come back and run again on Saturday, and you don't find time to train, it's really, really difficult to train if you're trying to race 2 days a week, and then training, it's very difficult. So we race at Strongsville. Strongsville has a good race there, but we're kind of all over the place. We go out east to Boardman. We've been, going out to Tiffin, out west, out to Tiffin. We've been down to Columbus. So we travel.
So on average, how many races do they do in a season?
We have 6 regular races. Then you start your conference, district, regional, gotcha. State meet. I think it comes out to 10 if you make it all the way to state meet.
Okay. So these invitationals that you do, is it mostly against the other teams from your conference?
No, that's why we go to Columbus, is we try to get away from those teams. We'll see them a lot during the year. Obviously, we'll see them.
But there's always going to be like the competing against your conference to see who gets to the state meets or anything like that?
No, conference is a whole different. You start at conference is just our 8 schools from our conference, and you compete for a conference championship. Then you go to districts, and that's where you get to move on.
Gotcha.
If you qualify in the top 4, you move on. And then you get the regionals. If you qualify in the top, this year it was top 8, you get to move on to the state meet. So once conference is over, then it's last race. It's moving on from there.
So how do they Because I think I remember when when Shannon was running, they actually like would give the kid a card or something like that to show where they placed, and it was a numbered card, I guess. So how do they? Is it timing now?
Everything is time system now.
Okay.
It's
they get a bib with the chip.
They have a bib,
on
or they have a chip in their shoe.
Gotcha.
They give them a little chip they put into their shoe. So it's we used to have popsicle sticks, all kind of crazy things handing out to kids when they finished, and you run around trying to make sure everybody got the right. When you got 200 or 300 kids, it's pretty crazy. But everything.
Do you know pretty much right away if how your team placed? Do they have like a big board up there that kind of shows how everybody placed?
No, they don't. We actually went to regionals this year, and like I said, my number one girl was hurt, and we were like, we weren't sure how we were going to do. And you see them race, and you have an idea. But I knew the guy running the timing system. He actually ran with my brother in college, and I said, Teddy, please, if just give me the high sign, like you made it, or give me a thumbs up or whatever. So I mean, you kind of have an idea when you're watching your kids. If they all if they run well, you're thinking, okay, we have a good shot. And I wasn't quite sure. I thought we did okay because I saw where we were finishing, but he came out and gave me the thumbs up. I'm like, okay, good. It takes the worry off of coach. You're not sitting there biting your fingernails down to the core here because you're worried.
Now, over the years, have you had a lot of parents? I'm sure have probably some parents that you may have even coached that
Yes, yeah. I've had some. I've coached some kids, and now they're having kids, and their kids are coming back running for me, and it's you're
That's
old.
Something, isn't
you're
it?
old when you've been doing that.
But it's still kind of cool, though.
Oh, it is. It really is. And I have a kid on a team actually now. It's his the third sibling I've coached of a parent that I had my first year.
Right.
So it's the Kraft family, and I've coached a bunch of their kids. So it's kind of fun to see them come back. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, do some of the parents of the kids now, do they run also? Do they, because I think I remember where they tried to do sometime where they would actually allow the parents to run. I think it was some invitational where it was just kind of open, so they would let the parents come run it too. And do they still do that at all, or do you see some of the parents that run with the kids?
We have at our district meet. They just have a varsity race. But then they have an open race afterwards, and Medina's really good about it. They let anybody come in. So you see parents, you'll see coaches run, you'll see all kind of people just come in.
They just stay out of the kids' way, though, right?
No, because it's an open race, and it's their last chance to go out and compete. But a lot of times the parents and coaches are trying to run fast too. They want to look good too. Right. So, but that's really our only opportunity for parents to actually run the same place of the kids.
That's kind of cool, though. How many parents do you see actually do that on average?
I'm trying to think of how
Probably
many.
Not a lot, I wouldn't think.
I would say I've got 65 kids, and I might have 10 active runners in that group of parents.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a ton, but there's some.
Those are the kids that probably run all year round, and parents are like really pushing them to run.
Some do and some don't. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, do you guys have anybody that helps the kids with nutrition?
We don't. So
you're just kind of relying on them to
we
make
talk
sure they
about
eat
it.
the right kinds of things.
That's a big deal. We talk to the kids. We at the beginning of the year we have a parent meeting, and we'll talk about hey, what your kids should be doing. What kind we don't want to make it crazy because parents have a schedule too. They're working. They've got to come pick up their kid at 5:30 at night from practice and try to get. So we talk about eating the right things. And when you come to school, don't go buy pizza every day. Bring yourself a nice salad or nice sandwich or something like that. So we talk about nutrition and we talk about healthy.
Don't run down to McDonald's and get their food.
Right. When they go to the races, the kids you'll see they'll bring snacks, and it's usually healthy, bringing carrot sticks and stuff like that. You don't see them bringing garbage food. So we talk about it, and we make it a big deal. But you can't force kids to do those types of things. But and the good kids know what they can and can't eat. They learn through the process of training and stuff what's good for them and what isn't.
Well, it's like me. I've been running for probably the past 6 years. Kind of got back to it, and about 6 years ago, I lost a lot of weight, and just, over that time, it's just like gradually just crept up more and more. Because here, mentally, I'm like, I knew what I was doing wrong, but it's just, it just must not been that important to me to kind of watch, what I eat. So now, getting back to you, how many miles do you typically run? Do you run during, all year long?
When I first started coaching, I didn't. People always say, well, you love to run. I didn't. I really didn't like to run when I first started doing it. I did it because I was coaching, and I would see other coaches that just sit to the side and they're not participating. They don't work out with their kids. They don't, and I don't feel that's right. You know what? Like I told you before, when I run with the kids. I try to run the same amount of miles, minutes with them, and when I start to feel a little worn down, I know they're starting to feel a little worn down. So we cut back and give them a little bit of, we don't take time off, but we give them some rest runs and stuff like that. So I try to go with the longest kids, whatever the longest minutes are for the day. I try to do that. So, but some days we're doing intervals, and I will stop and watch them do their intervals because I want to see what they're doing, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. So in those days, I'll go run in the morning, and we come and have practice at night. I can actually watch the kids do those types of runs. So, but I'm doing, I don't know, between 35 and 50 miles a week, I would say.
That's good.
Yeah. And pretty much, I try to run year round, but some Christmas time and stuff, you're getting 1 or 2 days a week, and that's it.
Well, it's cool that you could get to run with the kids because you're having them do their tempo runs, their speed work, all these different things that's benefiting you
100%.
Just as much as it is them. So that's keeping you running those 20-minute 5Ks. That's what
helps.
It is.
It definitely.
That's right.
Definitely.
Now, over the years that you've been running, have you faced any injuries? I'm sure you have, or have you been pretty healthy over those years?
You know what? Running wise, I've been really. I've never had any. In high school, I think I had stress fractures. We didn't know what stress fractures were back then, but I was running my senior year across, and I couldn't feel anything from my knees down.
Ouch.
I mean, I had pain.
And you still ran?
Just because that's what you did. I was coming to the end of the year, and that's what you did. But running-wise, I haven't really had any injuries. I've had 2 knee surgeries, but baseball and just wear and tear.
So it doesn't bother you running?
It does.
Okay.
It hurts, I'm getting old, and it definitely, I'm not as flexible as I should be, or I was in the past. But actual running injuries that have kept me out, I really haven't. I've been lucky.
Yeah. Well, probably part of that too is, like I said, I did 50 races this past year. The year before, I think I did 46, and man, I'm telling you, like the last probably like 3 or 4 races this past year, I was dead.
Yeah.
The reindeer run, it was December 3rd. I ran that, and then the day before was the Christmas story run, and I had a hard time breaking 28 minutes for a 5K, and I'm running typically between 24 and 26, somewhere around there. I just had nothing left.
That's a race a week, and that's a lot of racing. That is, because when you get in a race, you don't take it easy. I mean, you're competing. That's why you're out there.
Right.
And even if you're dead tired, you're still working hard, and it's tough to race that many times.
But I so much enjoy just being around people that are doing the same thing, and just seeing all different levels of runners. I mean, you got the fastest ones that are winning each week, and then you got your age group winners, but then you got the back of the pack runners. Like I'm probably the middle of the pack runner. I mean, I've got a lot of medals or whatever, but probably from races where there wasn't the Kerrys, running at that particular race, because that definitely would have been nowhere near you.
You know what? A few years ago, this young man's 32 now, so that would have been 14, 15 years ago. I had a special needs kid who was running, and I really got an appreciation for a lot of the kids at
I think I know who you're talking about.
Seth
Greenfelder?
Yep. Yes.
Yep. He ran with Shannon, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was at back of the pack always, and just to watch him and see the kids around him competing, it gave me a whole new appreciation for those types of kids that come out and just to do those types of things. And it was before it was like, okay, you got to get this top kids, you got to get them going. Okay, the back kids, good job. But this was a whole different association. So now when I go to races and stuff, and as soon as I get done, I try to do my cool down. I'll try to cool down back on the course just to watch the people coming in. You know, you see 75, 80-year-old people finishing races, and it's like, wow, that is so cool. That's the ultimate right there.
Well, I interviewed Gary Easter from Hermes Race Systems a couple weeks ago, and we were kind of talking about at the reindeer run, because I think I ran 28 something, and there was, you know, people in their 70s, not a lot, but, you know, a few in their 70s, male and female, that ran like 25 minutes, 26 minutes. I'm like, you know, I really feel bad that, you know, they beat me, but, you know, kudos to them. I mean, to be able to get out there and run, you know, that speed. And I thought I saw something recently where a 72-year-old man set the world record for a mile, you know, for his age group, ran like a 5:12 mile at 71 or 72 years old. That's phenomenal.
It's amazing.
Yeah. People don't understand. I mean, a 5-minute mile is fast.
Yeah. Oh, I can never do that.
Yeah.
You know what? I had my big thing was I don't want any lady to ever beat me. And a few years ago, I had a young lady. She came up as a freshman, Selena Pasadena, and first day of practice, we're down Hinkley Lake, and none of the girls have ever beaten me before. And we're running, and she comes up next to me. Hi, Coach. How you doing? I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay. She's not gonna beat me. So I start, and she just went on by me. And ever since then, I've always had a girl on my team ahead of me now.
Right.
And I go to races, you see girls. I'm like, yep, they're gonna beat me because they're just better than me. You know, that's the way it is, and it's awesome. I think it's great. Yeah.
You know, it's great to see, you know, I'm sure over time too, that, you know, how you see kids coming in as freshmen like we were talking about, but just to watch them advance. You know, they start off at a certain level, and you just kind of get a sense that this kid is just going to be one of my fastest runners, or even the other runners, you know, just watching them compete. And like you said, it's just such a camaraderie of, you know, hanging out together. I'm sure not all of them do it, but, you know, just like that's what I always about, you know, sports and things. It's just, and running it's a lonely sport. I mean, when, you know, most of the people are out there running, they're running by themselves, you know, unless you're running with a running group or whatever.
Right.
But being a part of a cross-country team and just watching how they support each other, you don't really see a lot of them just are kind of off doing their own thing, man. They're cheering each other on. It's great.
That's our big thing. We always, you know, if we do an out and back, or we're going around Hinkley Lake, and I always tell the kids, if you're passing one of your teammates, tell them, hey, good job. You know, keep it up, you know, because they're having a hard day. You know, they're struggling or whatever. Give them some encouragement. And we talk about that in a race. You know, when you're racing with them, say, hey, come on, go with me, come with me. You know, try to bring them along. And just the encouragement is just, it's amazing when those kids hear that from their teammates, and they respond to that, and it's a wonderful thing. It really is, because all those kids know, you know, they know what you've been through. You know, I know how hard you've worked to get to where it's a bad day. You know, not everybody can have a great day every day, and you know, when you have a bad day and somebody say, hey, come up and put your arm around you, say, you know, good job, way to hang in there today. You know, you didn't run so fast, but you did the best you could do. Right. And that's huge.
Well, when those kids are running those speeds and everything, I mean, just one little thing could just, you know, throw them off. It happens, you know. Just, and the courses, you know, most of the kids, I think they're probably running cross country could probably run a little bit faster on the road. Oh, definitely. Just because of the surface or whatever.
Right.
So,
right.
But that's phenomenal. It's phenomenal that you've spent, you know, 30 years doing this, and you know, retired from teaching, but yet you went back to you know, to coach. It's just, you know, and you know, I've seen, like, you know, when Sam was younger and I coached her in soccer. She started off at 6 years old, and I coached her in rec basketball, you know, 4th through 6th grade, and then she went to play middle school ball. But I see some of the kids that, you know, I coached, you know, and you know, rec is much different, but I had a little bit of a hand in, you know, helping this kid, 100%. You know, play basketball.
Because if you weren't there, there wouldn't be anybody.
Right.
You know, and so you took it to, maybe you didn't know, you know, coach doesn't know everything about what's going on, but they're there for the kids. They're there to, you know, to help them along and make it fun for them. And, you know, so if you coached anything, you helped the kid along. There's no doubt.
And then it was, you know, it's all volunteer. So, you know, the rec.
Yeah, you're not making any money.
John at the rec center, he goes, hey, can you coach this year? I'm like, sure.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Or even, you know, I did assistant coaching at times too. So it was just fun.
Right.
It was just fun watching the kids. Again, too, you know, when you first get them, that first practice, some of them had never played basketball before.
They dribble with two hands.
Right.
Yeah. Because I coached basketball for a long time, and it's like, wow, they look at and then I get to see them because I coach 8th grade basketball. And then I'd see them when they're playing varsity. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Just to see the advancement, and obviously with cross country, I see it all the time. Just kids from a freshman year, they're running 27 minutes as a girl, and then they get to be 20 minutes, 19 something as by the time they're a senior. It's like, man, that was a great performance by them.
Yeah. And some of them probably can make like huge advances too. They do their first run and it's like 25 minutes, and then next time they're doing like a 22 minute. It just it doesn't happen often. No, but, it probably does happen.
Especially the young kids, the freshmen. They come in, they don't have a clue. They do practice and stuff, but when it comes to race, it's a whole different thing. In their first race, they're running against 500 kids, and it's like, whoa, and they'll go 24 minutes, and the next race they'll go 22:30, and then they'll go 21 minutes, and by the end it's like they learn so much, and we always talk about that. Every race you run, you should learn something. I don't care if you're a senior and it's your last race, you should learn something during that race. And we'll sit down after practice, and we'll talk to kids, say, hey, what'd you learn today? And some kid will have to stand up and say, well, I learned how I got to work these hills, or going down hills, I got to go a little bit harder, just something, so right. It's you hope they're learning all the time.
Now, one of the big things that we like to talk about on this show is shoes, how they've changed over the years, 30 years. John McCarroll, who ran in the 50s, he basically said he used to run in leather shoes when he ran track. So how do the kids go out and buy their own shoes? Do you give them advice? Does the school provide shoes? How does that, because all the kids are going to be different in terms of what they need and what type of shoe. How do they decide what type of shoe they wear? I mean, most of them probably like race. Do they wear racing flats for races?
Well, cross country, they'll wear spikes.
Spikes, okay.
And I always tell my kids, you know what, especially the freshman year, and when I have my parent meeting, I'll tell the parents, do not go out and buy yourself a $100 pair of shoes. Buy a pair of shoes that's comfortable for your kids until you find out how good they're going to be, how much they're going to enjoy this, how they're going to advance as they go. And I always tell my parents, first year, you don't have to buy spikes if you don't want to. I said, you get on a rainy day and you're trying to go uphill and flats, it's not going to be easy, right. But you don't have to buy them. But now, obviously, with our running stores, we have, Second Soul, you have Fleet Feet, you have all kinds of running stores around here. I tell my kids, go to those people. They're very good. They know what they're doing. They'll have you try them on, walk around the store a little bit. They have a clue of what they're doing. I'm not a shoe expert. I can wear most anything. My feet don't break down too much, right. But some kids need special attention. They put in inserts, and our trainers help with stuff like that. But I let them know where those stores are, where they can go and get those types of things, especially for the advanced kids that are really good. They've got to have good trainers. We talk about put 500 miles on them and get a new pair. Even though they feel comfortable, they're starting to break down. Right. And you're going to come up with an injury if you're not careful. So they may look good, they may feel good, but they're breaking down. So you've got to make that change.
Do the shoes usually last them during the whole season? I would think they probably do, right?
My seniors usually have two. They get two paired throughout the year. They'll start training, and 500 miles is not very far. In this, if they're running, 55 minutes, that's 7 or 8 miles a day. So that they will get another pair, and I'll kind of look and see, or I'll look at kids' shoes. Hey, let me see your shoes. And they'll show me. I say, hey, it's about time, don't you think? Like, yeah, I know. They feel so good. I said, yeah, I get it. They feel good. They're good for mowing the lawn or walking around, but
right.
For what you're doing here, not so much. Right. So, luckily we have those stores here, and it's really good for the kids to be able to go there and get decent pair of shoes.
Now, do they wear, when you're just out training around Brunswick or whatever, they wear different shoes when they're out training versus when they're actually doing a race?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I said, they can't wear the spikes or whatever, right, when they're when they're running.
If they got a pair of spikes, obviously they're wearing them 5-6 times a year, and that's it.
Yeah.
And now those they can wear as long as your feet is not growing. You can wear those multiple years, and you can wear them for track. You just change the spike inserts. Obviously on track you're wearing shorter spikes. On a rainy day in cross you're wearing 1/2-inch spikes. So it's but when you're only racing 5 or 6 times, you can wear them multiple years. I've had kids wear the same shoe, their foot never grew, and they've worn them through all 4 years in 8 different seasons. Mm-hmm. So
now, over the years, do you have any kids that just kind of like stand out to you, that just, you know, just when you just, you know, just you're just thinking or whatever, that kid just, you know, pops into your head? Because, you know, I'm sure you do, but you know,
yeah,
coaching 1,000 kids or whatever over your career, you know, it's probably hard to have like the one that just kind of stands out to you. But I'm sure you have a few.
There's, you know, there is a group of kids, obviously, that, you know, from day one to now. You know, Rebecca Craddock is my, you know, last. She was the greatest kid I've ever, you know, can imagine coaching. You know, she was about 5 foot tall, weighs 98 pounds, and bright smile all the time, but hardest worker I've ever had, and just a great kid. And, you know, I could go down the list of years, and just, you always have some wonderful kids. It's why I do it. You know, I tell the parents, you know what, if it wasn't fun, if it wasn't for your sons and daughters, I wouldn't be here. If it was a struggle, and, you know, I go to football practice, I hear football coaches screaming and hollering at the kids. I don't have to do that. You know, I don't have to scream and holler and, you know, to get the best out of these kids, because they're, you know, they're smart kids and they know what it takes to get to where they want to go. So it's very enjoyable, and it's, you know, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, my time is running out of, you know, coaching sometime here.
You'll be coaching another 30 years.
No. But it has been so enjoyable. I sit back and think about it all the time. I've got folders upon folders. Every year I keep all the information I've done from year to year, and I've got a basement full of folders of track seasons and cross country. And I go back and look at the, you know, workouts we did and find out, you know, what our times were at certain times in a year, and, you know, it gives me a comparison to kid, you know, he was a state qualifier. They were running really close to what he was running or what she was running at this time. So, you know, she could, or he could be that, you know, that next state qualifier. So my wife thinks I'm crazy because my basement is full of all kind of memorabilia from, you know, all the seasons I've done this.
I would definitely keep all that stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. But when I retire from coach, I don't know what I'm going to do with it all, but I'll have it. Maybe I can pass it on to the next person that takes the job.
Do you have any like former runners that come and give like motivational speeches to the kids?
I actually had a young man who went to the Naval Academy. He was back this cross country season. Came back and ran with us, you know, a couple of days, and he actually sat down and talked with the kids. And, you know, he talked mainly about just life. You know, it wasn't about running. And you know, he mentioned, hey, this guy, I worked with him for a long time. He's doing what's right for you, so, you know, listen to him. But he just talked about, you know, things in general, you know, because I had him in 4th grade when I was teaching, or 5th grade when I was teaching, and he wanted to be in the Navy from day one. And when he graduated, he asked me to write a letter to, you know, try to get him in, and I did, and he didn't get in because you need to have a congressman or somebody like that who'll get you into those things. And he finally got in, and I said, when I wrote my letter, I said, you got to have this kid, because I've never seen a person more dedicated to becoming going to your academy. And he went there and did a great job, and, you know, graduated from there. And he came back and had a great talk with the kids, and they had a ton of questions about it and stuff. So yeah, I'll have kids come by, you know, all the time, and, you know, they'll run with them, and they'll talk to the kids, and
that's great, all
kind of things like that. So yeah.
Now, do you think you would have like a group of kids that would be interested in letting me interview them?
100%.
Yeah, I would love to do that, just because you don't really get, you know, you don't necessarily get that perspective from the kids.
I was going to mention that to you, to say, you know, I've got some, you know, Rebecca comes back this summer. I'm sure she would sit down with you. I've got a kid who lives in Brunswick, Nate Bale, who was a state qualifier for me. He lives in Brunswick, and, you know, he was an All-American at Malone. When he went to Malone. So yeah, I could, you know, we could stay in contact, and I could line you up. I could line you up.
But
with
even the kids that are, you know, the high school kids, I mean, you might have to get parents' permission or something like that. But I thought it would be great to just get in there and just, you know, talk to them and, and you know, see how they're doing. Give me all the scoop on Coach Hunter.
There you go. Yeah, I'll plug my ears.
Yeah.
That one I won't listen to.
Oh, I'm sure they won't say anything bad. So
And you don't know.
I appreciate it. I mean, we're over an hour here, so I truly appreciate you sitting down with me.
It's been fun.
I would love to, like I said, I wanted to get a perspective from a coach and how you've worked with the kids, and it's much more impressive than what I even thought. So, and like I said, you coach my daughters, or my daughter, so it's I've seen you at races,
right.
and
right.
Now on final note. Because I run with my daughters, so do you get to run with your family too? You guys do races together?
Actually, my youngest, he graduated from Tiffin a couple years ago, and he was a really good runner, and he wanted to do the racing series this year, and I said, I'll do it with you. I don't train with him obviously, but we'd sign up for the races and we'd go, and I'd see him at the start and say, hey, good luck, and he's gone. And if it's out and back, I see him coming back and say, good job, Brent. But
did he finish second overall, didn't he, in the
I believe so,
Challenge
yes.
Series?
Yeah. And again, he couldn't do all the races, so he never lost. I think the 7 or 8 races he ran, he was always the first, but he didn't have enough participation points again.
Right.
So, but
I think Dominic Musara actually won. But
yes.
I think he did all the races. Him and his wife Tiffany, because she won overall female.
I would see her all the time because she was always either right in front of me or right behind me. We were always close. So, but yeah, I've had my 3 boys all ran in high school, and they all went to college to run. So I've had opportunities to run with all of them, and it's a great thing. It's fun.
Yeah,
it really is.
Fantastic.
And you with your daughters is, it's a special time for parents and kids to be able to do that. It's something you can share. You can't go play football with them,
right?
And basketball you can go shoot and stuff, but running you can always, you can always be.
Well, it's funny because Sam's she's my youngest, and the first race that she did. I mean, she ran cross country, but first road race she did was St. Malachy's because, my oldest daughter, her husband proposed to her at the finish line of the 2-mile race in 2012. So Sam ran we all ran the 2-mile race, and of course, I was last, and which didn't go over well, but because like I said, it was the first road race Sam ever did. And she ran I think it was 13 something for the 2-mile, and there's the bridge that goes back.
Right.
I mean, I was shocked because I didn't think she was going to run that speed, and never running road races before.
Yeah.
But it's just her and I were fairly close once I lost all the weight and everything. So it's I beat her a couple of times, she beat me a lot, but we were always I could just always see her.
Yeah, you could see each other.
Yeah. So, and then I run with my grandson now, and
awesome.
So it's all of us, my oldest daughter, Sam, my grandson, I'm always pushing him in the stroller.
Fantastic.
It is fantastic.
It is a sport, it's for the whole family. It really is. And you don't have a lot of those sports, I mean, you can swim, I guess, but I don't think they have competitive swimming, but everybody can go to a race and run it. It doesn't matter where you finish. It's a fun family.
It's such a camaraderie.
It is.
It just
the whole running
awesome.
community is that way.
Right.
You go and never see anybody crabby after a race. They're laughing. They're hey, good job. It's if people don't do it, they should just go watch one and see what it's like. It really is fun. It's amazing.
The one they should watch was the one that I did in Lakewood is the superhero run, because they have a challenge division. So there's kids in wheelchairs that are doing a 1 mile,
right?
And just to see their face when they finish. I saw, one that just stands out to me. I teared up at the time. Was a young kid ran the 5K. They did the 1 mile afterwards. He actually went with his brother, who was in a wheelchair, and his brother was, at a point where he couldn't even use the remote on the wheelchair. So his brother walked with him the whole mile, held the remote for him, and just to see the joy on his face and these kids, winning their awards, it's unbelievable.
It is.
At that point, I said, I will never complain about a speed of a race or doing bad in a race, because they're just happy to be able to do that. So
I said, I'll get done with the race, I'll turn around and do my cool down, I go back just to see those people coming. You see all kinds, and they're waving, they're just having a great time. It's fun.
Okay. Well, let's keep in touch. Like I said,
sure.
I'd love to, interview some of the kids, and whoever that you have, just, let them, friend me on Facebook or something like that.
Okay.
And, we'll keep in touch. So
great.
I truly appreciate, you taking the time.
You bet you. It was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
I really enjoyed it.
Good.
This was another episode of Running with Laz. Have a great evening.